You're on a path in the woods, and at the end of that path is a cabin. And in the basement of that cabin is a princess. You're here to slay her. If you don't, it will be the end of the world. Seriously? You're just going to turn around and leave? Do you even know where you're going? Somehow I doubt that, but fine. I suppose you just quietly continue down the path away from the cabin. Good. What we're being asked to do here is wrong. Better to wash our hands of this whole situation than to take part in it. Ignore that annoying little voice, he doesn't know what he's talking about. That's strange. It looks like this path also leads to the cabin. How convenient. Everything's back on track again. Maybe the world can still be saved after all. You're really keen on wasting everyone's time, aren't you? It's remarkably selfish, if you ask me. I've already outlined the stakes of the situation. If you don't do your job, everyone dies. Like, dies. Forever. When I said everyone, I meant everyone. That's a pretty large group to just condemn to death over a single princess. And, last I checked, you're part of everyone too, so if you think about it, walking up to that cabin and slaying her is really in your best interests as well. But fine, you turn around and trek back down the path you came. Oh, would you look at that? You're at the cabin again. Now, I'm not normally one for superstition or astrology, but I have to say, it seems like the universe itself is doing its best to... There's always a choice. Let me tell you right now that you're making the wrong one for pretty much everyone who's ever lived, as well as for everyone who ever will. And here we go. As you trudge into the woods, something strange starts to happen. At first, it's little flickers out of the corner of your eyes. Glimpses of familiar wooden structures through the leaves. But as you focus on your surroundings, you start to realize that those flickers weren't just a trick of light. In every direction, there is a path and a cabin. And not just a cabin, the cabin. An infinite fractal of paths and cabins desperately trying to draw you back to where you need to be. Wait, what's going on? But you're too stubborn for that, aren't you? It doesn't matter how many paths or cabins appear around you, you're just going to do whatever you can to shirk your responsibility because you care more about irritating me than you do about the fate of the world. You've doomed us all, you know that, right? But of course you do. Otherwise you wouldn't just wander off into the forest in search of certain death. You lose track of just how long you spend aimlessly tromping through the wilderness. But it's not like any of that time spent lost in the woods really matters, because it isn't long before the world ends and everyone dies. You're on a path in the woods, and at the end of that path is a cabin. And in the basement of that cabin is a princess. You're here to slay her. If you don't, it will be the end of the world. My tricks? What on earth are you talking about? We've just met for the first time.
he doesn't remember what happened, then maybe it's best to keep it that way.
I don't know. I think it's more fun if he knows what we're thinking. He's like a captive audience. The entire world ending wasn't enough to get rid of us. I don't think there's much he can do other than object. I wonder what else we can do to ruin his day. If by ruining my day, you mean ruining everyone's day forever, then yes, I suppose there are plenty of ways you could pull that off.
The world really did end last time, didn't it? We should be careful. For all we know, we just got lucky.
The world hasn't ended yet, and you are never going to slay her with that attitude. Stuff those pathetic little voices to the back of your mind and stay focused on the task ahead. What are you talking about? I'm sure those walls have always been there. It makes sense if you think about it. If there weren't any walls in the woods, someone might have gotten lost. Or, heaven forbid, someone other than you might have stumbled onto the princess. You know I can tell when you're lying, right? Please take this seriously. I am begging you. A warning before you go any further. She will lie, she will cheat, and she will do everything in her power to stop you from slaying her. Don't believe a word she says. If we're stuck going in there, maybe we should believe her. Maybe she isn't a liar. Ignore him. He's just being difficult for the sake of it.
Let's keep an open mind.
The interior of the cabin is odd, the air smelling faintly of plastic, the wood of the walls fitting together at uncomfortable angles. The only furniture of note is a plain wooden table, its legs all the wrong lengths. Perched on that table is a pristine blade. The blade is your implement. You'll need it if you want to do this right. If he wants us to take it, maybe we should just leave it to collect dust, or better yet, grab it and throw it out the window. What good is a knife against a world-ending monstrosity anyway?
I, for one, would rather have it. We don't really know what we're dealing with here.
I've already told you what you're dealing with. You're dealing with a princess. How many times do I have to explain this incredibly simple and straightforward premise? You walk up to the wall next to the basement door. It's a wall. There isn't much to see here.
What are you talking about? This isn't a wall. It's a mirror. Or at least it'll be a mirror once we wipe off that layer of grime.
You reach forward and rub your hand against the cabin wall. I hope you know how ridiculous you look right now.
But there was a mirror a second ago.
And now it's gone. You know that taking the mirror away from us isn't going to change things, right? We'll find it again, and then we'll see whatever it is that you don't want us to see. The door to the basement creaks open, revealing a staircase built from an unidentifiable and featureless material. The steps barely seem to fit together, and upon closer inspection, they barely seem to go anywhere at all, let alone down. The air here has an almost artificial quality to it, the scent of plastic from the cabin mingling with a cocktail of chemical odours. If the princess really lives here, slaying her is probably doing her a favour. Her voice carries up the stairs, its multitonal lilt adding to the already uneasy atmosphere.
Hello, is someone there?
This isn't what I expected her to sound like. What is she?
Well, she's not a princess, that's for sure. She is a princess. Don't let your imagination run wild. Good. You're still listening to reason. It takes you a moment to orient yourself before you're able to start moving forward. As you enter the next room, the form of the princess comes into view, her wrist bound to the far wall in heavy shackles. She locks eyes with you, one moving a little faster than the other, the loose skin of her face stretching into something resembling a smile.
Is that company? We don't remember the last time we had company.
Holy
If we knew she'd be like this, maybe we would have taken the knife?
Why are you just standing there? Are you scared?